The first video of the day is going to be talking about more of an opinion rather than news. I'm going to read to you a tweet from Alex Michelson, and after that, I'm going to go into, at least in my opinion, how California is going to react to this. And I think they're going to react in two ways. They could either going to be obedient, meaning they're going to follow the lockdown, or they're going to disobey it. And I'm going to explain to you why I think it's the latter and not the former. Now, the tweet. Actually, before I even read the tweet, I'm going to give you some context of what's going on. My home state of California, the state that I currently live in, they've just reinstated a lockdown. Now, my job, the McDonald's where I work at, we were already setting, procedures on how to open up, what are we going to be doing, but all of that was a huge waste of money and time because now we can't reopen. And seriously, like I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it takes time and not to mention effort because we need to train these people. And obviously, these people are not going to get paid on their own time, right? I'm sorry. Obviously, they have to get paid while they're working. And obviously, when they're getting trained on how to properly, manage, indoor seating during a pandemic, you have to make sure they're doing it properly. So the company invested a few tens of thousands, not even tens of thousands, but a few $1 million in time for the employees' training. And then next thing you know, it ends up becoming a waste. Because not only are we not going to reopen anytime soon, but by the time we do reopen, we're going to have to retrain these people again because we might have to do new procedures. We might have to retrain them because they probably already forgot how to properly, operate, indoor seating during a pandemic. So it's already problematic as it is. It's cost businesses lots of money. So many small businesses have been permanently shut down. And it's very infuriating to at least how the governor of California was incredibly against the anti-lockdown protests. Even some people got arrested in the Capitol when the whole pandemic started regarding to the lockdown. When people were protesting the lockdown, the governor had no problem arresting people who were protesting him at the Capitol, but he came out in full support of the Black Lives Matter protests. Now, whether or not you want to peacefully protest, by all means, go on ahead. I don't have a problem with you guys peacefully protesting. It's your right. But when it comes to the double standard, that's what infuriates me. The government is telling me, at least the government of California and other state governments as well, a lot of state governments are telling people, you cannot protest unless you are protesting for these ideas. And last time I checked, that's a violation of the First Amendment because the government cannot make laws that will exclude people their right and their ability to protest. Specifically, also peacefully assemble. Because in New York, Mayor Bill de Blasio has basically forbidden the Jewish community from actually going into the religious services, but has no problem with getting with Black Lives Matter himself and painting a mural in front of Trump Tower. This is the problem that I have with these people. It's not the fact these people are protesting. By all means, if you want to protest, go ahead and do it. But it's the clear double standard and the preference of the governors and what happens when their preferences ends up biting them in the rear end. So, now that we know what's going on in the context of California, I'm going to read to you the tweet from Alex Michelson, which reads, I feel deeply for all the California businesses that work so hard to abide by the rules, invested in compliance, and are now having to shut down once again. It's deeply upsetting to drive through neighborhoods and see so many businesses that are already shut down for good. Now we're going to be talking about what's going to happen in California. Like I said, I think the Californians are going to respond in two ways to the lockdown. One is they're going to comply again. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, however, and I'll tell you why. Can you imagine if you're a business owner? Can you imagine if you are an everyday American, not even a business owner, but imagine you are an everyday American who abided by the rules. No going out unless it was necessary. Wear the mask, even though in California it is required. I have to wear a mask in public for some reason, even if you're by yourself. I actually had a police officer tell me to wear a mask when I was literally alone in a park. I was literally just walking in a park and I was like, hey, wear a mask. And I look at him and I was like, yeah, come make me, man. And the cop didn't do anything. The cop didn't do anything because what is he going to do? Right now, police are demoralized. Not to mention police are a negative light. I doubt the cop really wanted to tell someone to wear a mask. Think about it. Now, let's go back to the scenario. How many people have worn masks? How many people have complied with the orders of these governors, specifically the governor of California? How many people have stopped going out? How many people stopped seeing relatives because it was for their safety? Despite those people complying, they're still getting punished for the actions of the people the governor let loose. And here's another thing too, I don't know if you're aware, but the governor is going to be locking down our state again, but has no problem with releasing another 8,000 criminals back into the streets due to coronavirus. This is the problem that I have with my leadership in my state. But in my opinion, going back to what the Californians are going to do, I strongly believe that the Californians are going to ignore these rules at this point. Here's why. Imagine you're a business owner. You work so hard to abide by the new guidelines of the state government and how to operate, safely, of course, right? You're getting ready to open, you're calling your employees, hey, Joe, come here, man, we're gonna start opening, we're gonna need your help, man. And then you have to make that same call again and say, hey, Joe, I apologize, but unfortunately we can't reopen because the governor shut us down again. You really think the businesses are gonna be happy about that? You really think businesses are gonna listen to the governor at this point? Because like I said before, a lot of people aren't working. And when they aren't working, they're watching the news, they're watching television. A lot of people don't watch the news because they're too busy working. But what happens when they don't have work? They watch the news to see what's going on. And when they see the governor condemn anti-lockdown protesters, but has no problem but he has no problem with Black Lives Matter protesters protesting in the streets, that's a problem. People are gonna look at this and say, what a huge hypocrite. I had an argument with my sister the other day, and then I wanted to join an anti-lockdown protest, and my sister said, well, you're being selfish because, you could potentially increase the spread of the virus. And what does she do? She goes protest with Black Lives Matter in Costa Mesa. And I tell her, what makes your protest different than mine? How come you can protest but I can't? Then he tells me, well, we'll protest our cause is actually worth something. Right, because Black Lives Matter is more important than people getting back to work and opening up their businesses again. Apparently that's more important to you. And she doesn't want to see it. Like, she really doesn't. She's really that stubborn. She doesn't want to see the hypocrisy. She thinks that I have a problem with her protesting. It's not that I have a problem protesting. It's the fact that she wouldn't let me protest, but when she did it, it was perfectly fine. And that's where I have the problem. You want to protest? Do it peacefully. The right to peacefully assemble. But don't be someone who's going to tell someone you can't protest. Meanwhile, you're saying that protest is okay and yours isn't. That's illegal. That violates the First Amendment. So in my opinion, I think people are not going to listen to lockdowns anymore. I know I'm not. Because apparently, I don't know if you're aware, but the governor of California has mandated that everyone wear masks in public areas, stores, and everything. Now, I myself, I'm not an officer. And there's been times at work where I literally clash with my general manager about mandating customers to wear masks. And this is what I do, because I know my GM, as much as she wants to implement these quote unquote laws, which they're not, they're decrees. This is what I do to make sure that my GM sees the ridiculous in it, and then not to mention how pointless it is to enforce these things. Now there's times where customers come in without masks. Now we do have signs out there that we have to wear masks, and like many people, they don't have time to stop and read them, so they just come in, they order food. There's been an instance where my GM has told me, hey Carlos, can you tell that customer to put on a mask? And I told her, no, I will not. I was like, what do you mean, no, you will not? He has to wear a mask. It's the law. I told her, nope, it's a decree. Now, if you want to tell them, by all means, go ahead and do it. But I'm not gonna be telling people that they can't wear a mask. This is a business, and I'm not gonna push away people that are wishing to purchase our products over the fact of a mask. Because here's the thing: there's been times where my GM has actually told someone to wear a mask when they didn't have one. That person never came back. He said, okay, okay, I'm gonna get it in my car. That person never came back. 10 minutes passed, nothing. Turns out the person left. Why? Because he didn't want to wear a mask. Right? He didn't want to follow a decree. There was another instance when my GM told me that I need to tell people to wear their mask, otherwise, they can get in trouble. Not me, but them. And this is what I told her. Okay, Laura, out of all the problems that we have, because here's the thing, our store has had problems with crime in the sense we've had a lot of hostile homeless people. There's been times where we've been threatened to get our store shot up. Like literally, some guy actually threatened to shoot up our store, and they literally arrested the guy. Like, literally, the guy was literally about to do it with two of his buddies, but the cops came in and arrested him, which was good. I wasn't there, but our store has a lot of problems already. And I told Laura, Sorry, my GM. Sorry, and then I told my GM, if you want to call the cops on people not following this quote unquote law, by all means go on ahead. But think how ridiculous that phone call is going to sound. Cops have other problems already. They have other people. They have other crimes that are actually more important than calling the cops on someone who isn't wearing a mask. And my GM just looked at me and said, "Nothing." She said nothing. She saw how ridiculous it was to mandate people to wear a mask. I'm not an officer. Why am I gonna enforce the law? Because that would be vigilantism, right? I'm enforcing the law when I'm not an officer of the law. So I told her, if you want to call the cops on these people for not wearing a mask, go ahead and do it, but it's gonna sound ridiculous. So my opinion on this, I don't think Californians are gonna follow the lockdown. They're already frustrated as it is. They've been waiting for the government to give them the all clear to open up the businesses. And what does the government do? Nope, you're not gonna open. It's insane to me how this is actually taking place. It's insane to me how Californians haven't even considered to even recall our governor of California. It's insane to me. But hey, that's what happens. The Democrats wanted this bigger government. If you vote for us, we will get the power to give you free stuff. Well, that's the big government for you. That's how big government looks like. They tell you you're not essential, you're not useful for our business during a pandemic, and what happens? You lose your business. While your local shoe shop is shut down, Walmart can still sell shoes. Well, H&M is closed down because it's not essential, because it sells clothes. Meanwhile, Walmart can sell shirts and pants and jeans. Well, your local gun shops, many of them in California were actually shut down in the beginning. When your gun shops are closed because they can't sell ammo because guns are deemed non-essential, Walmart can still sell ammo. It's funny how these leftists say they don't like the big corporations, and yet the corporations are benefiting from this. I actually saw a tweet from Bernie Sanders the other day on Facebook saying how during this pandemic, major corporations like Amazon and Walmart have literally doubled their profits. And I literally put in a comment, gee, I wonder why. It's not like the government told the small business competition to close down during a pandemic because they were deemed non-essential. You'd be surprised how many lefties I pissed off with that comment. But in my opinion, Californians shouldn't abide by this lockdown. I'm done. I'm done with this lockdown. I was so excited to open up the lobby because a lot of people, some restaurants, to be honest with you, are not the same when you're taking out. For example, Denny's. I like to go at Denny's because I want to dine in. Denny's is not the same for takeout. It's not the same. It's not the same. As much as the food is good, it's not the same eating takeout. Why? Because you have to order it, then you have to take it home. By the time you take it home, it's not as hot. It's annoying, right? It's a hassle. Not to mention, it's a lot. You have to go through traffic. It's just insane. But if you live in California, if you're a small business owner, right? I feel bad for you. But here's the thing. Come November or come your next election in California, they'll vote for these Democrats. It's clear they don't care about you. They don't. If they did, they wouldn't let you open. But they didn't. Well, the people were chanting end the lockdown. The governor said, nope, you guys are doing a dangerous thing. You are spreading the virus. But when the Black Lives Matter protests and riots took place in California, the governor said, all power to you. It's insane. But again, small business owners in California, if you're watching this, hear my message. Don't vote Democrat anymore. It's clear that this governor doesn't care about you, because if he did, he would have let you open. Ignore the lockdown. Don't follow it. What are they going to do? They're going to call the cops for you opening your business? The cops can only find so many people. Because not to mention, they're already busy stopping actual crimes. You really think they're gonna prioritize your business when there's a murder taking place? I doubt it. So if all of you guys open at once, I doubt the police are gonna have enough people to enforce these unconstitutional decrees. A lot of these major liberal cities are already cutting their budgets for the police department. So I doubt there's gonna be a lot of police officers who are willing to do what is needed in order to get the job done. But again, that's what you get. This is the result of big government for you. That's what it is. If you guys like this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, share the video, helps out a lot. And what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with me that Californians are not going to follow this new lockdown order? Do you think Californians shouldn't follow this new lockdown order? And do you think it's very hypocritical of Gavin Newsom to condemn anti-lockdown protesters but have no problem with Black Lives Matter protesters, even though they probably were the reason why the coronavirus spike increase took place? So you guys in a bit in regards to another incident when regarding the police. This one taking place in New York. I'll see you guys in a bit.